The Batman from 2004 is the greatest Batman cartoon. Last time I was talking about it, we went over the first 5 episodes and they were exceptionally good, showing why this series is incredibly underrated. I want to review all of Season 1, so we're continuing with the next 5 episodes. With that said, I'm Rocko from Reamlore, and let's dive in. By the way, if you enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe because we upload videos just like this one on our Reamlore channel. Episode 6, The Cat and the Bat. We open at a Japanese temple where Catwoman, played by Gina Gershon, is sneaking through, trying to steal a jade cat statue. Let me just say, this is my personal favorite Catwoman. I love her design. While red, yellow, and black look bad on Bane, it looks pretty good on Catwoman. It's less she is wearing a skin-tight leather suit and more like a leather jacket and pants. She has red claw hands, yellow ski goggles, and adorable cat ears. And when her whip is wrapped around her waist, it looks like she has a cat tail. That is a nice touch. She makes it past all of the lasers but can't get to the jade statue without tripping the final lasers, putting the place on lockdown. Later that morning, Bruce and Alfred are watching the news about the break-in. Batman sees that Catwoman was responsible, and Yin says in the news that there may be a link between her and Batman. Yin, what are you talking about? One is a vigilante and the other is a thief. Why would there be a connection? The crime boss Hideo says he is upset that Catwoman made it in here and says he wants her head. Hyun Young voices Hideo, who you may recognize as the voice for the Commander Daizo from Teen Titans Trouble in Tokyo. This is when we meet the woman behind the cat, Selena Kyle, who has returned to her apartment and 3 cats. Selena says while she is upset, at least her adrenaline was up. She is a criminal not only for the money but also for the thrill. She sees a paper where it connects her with Batman and she is curious about it. Bruce gets an alert about a disturbance, but when he arrives, it was the cat who wanted to drag Batman out to play a game of tag. This is a good time to talk about the character of Catwoman. It's okay. All the elements for the character are there. Loving money, the thrill of the crime, interest in Batman, but they're kind of bare bones and stay underdeveloped for this show. You think her relationship with Batman would sway her to the side of good, but they dropped that storyline for some reason. We also never learn that much about her other than she loves money and stray cats. I do like this version though. She's a fun antagonist and I like her relation to Batman and other villains. I just wish they used her more. I get this is a cartoon meant to sell toys for boys, but there are like 4 girls in this show. Batman and Catwoman have an awesome parkour rooftop chase. When it seems like Catwoman has the upper hand, Batman uses a drone to stop her. It turns into a fight where Batman makes a mistake and Catwoman not only gets away, but also gets his utility belt. Catwoman took the belt because she wanted to use the drone to steal the jade cat, but she can't get it to work because of the security. When Bruce got back to the Batcave, he mentions how the belt had a lock that must have been broken during the fall. While she was hacking the belt, she accidentally took control of the Batbot and Batmobile, and they run wild. Turns out the belt can control anything connected to the Batcave. Batman is able to stop the bot, but the Batmobile runs out of the cave. This is where we see the debut of the Bat Cycle, which looks amazing. Batman uses the Bat Cycle to chase after the Batmobile and stops it. Selena finally gets past the security though and controls the drone. Meanwhile, Alfred removed all of the Batwave receivers and sees that the drone is being used, which he could trace. Catwoman returns to the sanctuary and uses the drone to steal the jade statue, although Hideo is waiting with an army of ninjas. Hideo asks what family asked to steal from him, but Catwoman says no one hired her. He then says if cats have 9 lives, kill her 10 times. This is when Batman shows up to save Catwoman. He gets back his belt but tells Hideo she is leaving with him. They have a big fight with great choreography as they help each other out to get to the rafters. Batman is about to be killed but Catwoman comes back to save him. She smashes the jade cat however, which reveals a mini disc. Batman captures Hideo as the police arrive but Catwoman had already booked it. Batman finds her easily and she says they have a lot in common, but Batman doesn't think so. She gives him back the rest of his belt as she ninja vanishes. Batman meanwhile is standing there thinking, so that's what that feels like. The next morning he is watching the news where it reveals the disc had condemning evidence that put Hideo behind bars. Yin on the news also says that Batman and Catwoman took him down as a vigilante team, which Batman is not happy about. Alfred, meanwhile, is just happy Bruce is meeting women who share his interests. Alright, so that episode's over and done with, but how does it rank? Characterization can get a 4. Catwoman has a strong introduction and we get a feel for who she really is. She's different from the typical criminals because usually that's all they are, but we see Catwoman has a civilian persona. The story can get a 3. It's pretty average, kind of every Catwoman story we've ever seen, but it's still fun. The only downside is Catwoman taking over the Batbot because that feels like we're padding out the runtime. Entertainment gets a 3. Continuing the Batman, Catwoman stories are fun and the fights are excellent, especially the end where Batman and Catwoman are fighting ninjas. Importance gets a 5. Catwoman's introduction is very important because she does show up a lot in the future in a bunch of cool stories. Moving on, we have episode 7, The Big Heat. This episode starts out with a crime. I know, for this show that's crazy. Batman investigates a crime as Alfred reminds Bruce he has a meeting with the mayor today, but Batman is too concerned with solving who is breaking into these tech companies. Batman finds all of the server's trash and the man who caused it, Firefly. This This is my favorite version of Firefly bar none. Firefly is played by Jason Marsden. Notable voices include Max from The Goofy Show and Billy Numerous from Teen Titans. I love Firefly's costume, the yellow and black sleek design with a jetpack that looks like a firefly. He starts blasting Batman before they both fall outside of the building. Both of them are fine as Batman is Batman and Firefly can fly around with his jetpack. He also has lasers on his wrists which he uses to attack Batman, but Batman manages to sever the connection to his guns. Bruce meets with the mayor of Gotham named Grange. Mayor Grange is played by Adam West. All of you should know who Adam West was. He played Batman in the 1960s live-action show. And in the later years of his life, he voiced so many characters in animated cartoons. He did voice roles for Fairly Odd Parents, Penn Zero Part-Time Hero, and appeared in a few episodes of Perry Mason. And if you look up anything about Perry Mason, everybody and their grandmas literally appeared on Perry Mason at some point. There were, no joke, hundreds of actors on Perry Mason. I think I was on Perry Mason at some point, and that doesn't even make sense. Sadly though, after Adam's Batman show ended, he was typecast along with Burt Ward and Yvonne Craig, who were Robin and Batgirl. So for a long time before he did voice roles, he had to do things like promote car dealerships and get into shouting matches with wrestler Jerry Lawler to survive. Even worse though, he had passed away, but not before getting the recognition he rightfully deserves as a great actor and a great guy. Not only did he make Batman super popular in the 60s, but he also was a great voice actor up until he passed. Can I just say, the mayor makes several appearances in the show, and he's always really good. It's so refreshing to have someone supportive of Bruce in a position of power. Also, Adam West showing off, yes, he is a really good actor, and he can do roles that aren't under heroic superhero. Grange called Bruce over to tell him the bad news. The contract to rebuild the orphanage went to Goth Corp instead of Wayne Industries. Bruce was very upset by this. Wayne Industries has supported the Children's Hospital since the beginning. His father founded it as a doctor. Goth Corp, on the other hand, has been investigated and accused of doing very shady things. Grange says the city council isn't concerned with their reputation. Yeah, that reflects reality. But they care about Bruce's, since his public image is as a playboy. Grange knows Bruce is great, but Bruce is determined to make the case to the council. Grange gives Bruce the chance to make his case tomorrow, so when he got back to the cave, he does extensive research to show that Goth Corp is not suited to do this. Bruce is interrupted by Firefly attacking though, so Alfred offers to finish the research. Batman flies with his glider to intercept Firefly and finds it strange as he was attacking a law firm this time. We have an air battle and the fight is just as awesome as ever. I mean, do you expect anything less at this point? I also love how Firefly moves around, jetpacking in all different directions. It's over pretty quickly though, as Firefly has a superior flying machine. Batman wakes up stuck in a warehouse and Alfred tells him the council is about to vote. It does not go well for Bruce. He shows up late and unprepared, and the council decides to give the contract to Goth Corp, one of them noting that he's no Thomas Wayne. Back at the Batcave, Bruce is upset because he failed twice today as Bruce and Batman. Alfred says he did all he could, but Bruce suggests maybe it's time to give Wayne Tech away so he can focus on being Batman, or give a Batman to be a full-time Bruce Wayne. This storyline is great. The best stories featuring Batman are about Bruce Wayne and his connection to Batman. Bruce is very upset because he felt he didn't live up to his father's legacy and memory, both as Bruce getting the contract or as Batman keeping Gotham safe. The lesson of this episode though is that maybe instead of Bruce and Batman working against each other, they should help each other out. When Bruce is watching the news, he realizes that the law firm Firefly attacked was after Goth Corp, and that the tech companies were Goth Corp competitors. They hired Firefly to make it look like arson while they build an orphanage to distract from dirty business. Again, reflecting reality there. Bruce comes up with the idea to lure Firefly out by holding a press conference that says he has a prototype ready to pull ahead of Goth Corp. It works as Firefly jets over to burn Wayne Industries, but Batman is there waiting. Firefly flies out, but this is where Batman unveils a jetpack that can match Firefly's. They have awesome air battle part 2 where they fly all throughout the city. At the end, both of their jetpacks get trashed, leading to a grounded fist fight where Batman easily beats down Firefly. Firefly has been bragging about how no one could touch him, and now he was at Batman's mercy. He ties up Firefly and leaves him for the police, while adding a Goth Corp Employee of the Month sign to his chest for laughs. Goth Corp then goes under, which allows Grange to give the building contract to Wayne Industries, and saying that Bruce's father would be proud of him today. Another episode over and done with, but how does it rank? Characterization gets a 5. Bruce and Batman are at their best here, really showing off why this character is so beloved. The conflict with his personas is so compelling. Plus, the mayor is great too. Honestly, I would like to see this character brought back in other Batman projects. The story gets a 5. The threats of both Firefly and Goth Corp tying into the narrative is genius, and seeing Firefly get stomped out was satisfying after all the bragging he was doing. Entertainment gets a 4. It's a super fun episode in addition to the great story. Firefly is a great antagonist and the air fighting is excellent. Importance gets a 3. Technically, you could skip this episode. Firefly isn't a super important character, but I still think it's worth your time. We then get to episode 8 Q&A, where we hit the biggest roadblock of the first season. I won't won't waste your time because I think this is a very bad episode. Let me just break it down real quick. This story features one of the worst Batman villains in history, the Clue Master. He's an overweight loser living in his mom's basement who wants revenge against a canceled TV show because he lost as a twerp and never got over it. It has lame action scenes where Batman gets beat up by Clue Master's younger brothers, I don't get it, it's never explained, and then through some BS questioning, Batman defeats him and saves the hostages. Clue Master is played by Glenn Shadix. He actually voiced the Brain from Teen Titans, doing a great job by the way, and did some voice work for Jackie Chan Adventures. Now I do want to say he passed away and thoughts are with his friends and family, but this is not one of his best characters. This episode also had the weakest attempt to connect it to Batman that I've ever seen. When Batman figures out Clue Master's backstory, he goes, "One bad day is enough to define us." Do not do that, Bats. I get that you were the best and you're trying to sympathize, but you lost your parents and he lost on a game show. There is no comparison. The absolute worst bit of this episode though is when at the start the writers make fun of Adam West's unfortunate situation when he had to do car dealerships to pay the bills because he couldn't find work. Everything in here was lackluster already, but that just felt mean-spirited towards a legend who was going through a tough time. Now it may not have been intentional, multiple celebrities have been there, but it's a joke that shouldn't be made, especially not after the episode where Adam West debuted in your show. This episode is not the worst thing ever. If you put it up against any other average show, it's not that bad, but when you put it up against The Batman, especially Season 1 Batman, it sticks out like a sore thumb. I mean, we were just rocking and rolling with phenomenal episode after phenomenal episode, and then we get to this one, and it takes the wind out of the sails a little bit. It is the bizarre child among a whole bunch of great episodes that maybe they should have just scrapped. I get they already spent money on this animation, but sometimes you have to go, this episode isn't up to the standards of the show, and we should move on to something else. Alright, well, how does it rank? Characterization, I'm giving a 1. The only reason there is a 1 is because Batman is great as always, but Clue Master is the absolute worst. I hate watching any story featuring this character. And he has no depth to him. He's just a nothing slimeball basement dweller. The story is getting -2. This is a painfully average story. Loser wants revenge and kidnaps people involved in his humiliation. Made worse by the leaps in logic, BS Clue Master rules, and the jabs at Adam West. Entertainment also gets a -2. There is nothing fun in this episode. The fights aren't cool, there's no interesting dilemma or character growth, and even the defeat of Clue Master isn't that satisfying. After all was said and done, I felt like I wasted my time. Importance gets a -1. I'm encouraging you to skip this episode. I've made it clear this was bad and the creators must have shared my opinion. The only time we ever see Clue Master again in the show is during the villain roll call in season 4. And Clue Master was put in Arkham Asylum, the place known for its revolving door, and we never see him again. So do what I do, pretend this episode never existed. But we get right back into the good stuff with episode 9, The Big Dummy. We open with a new villain, Wesker, looking at his doll, Scarface. Yes! We quickly see from their interactions that Scarface is the boss and Wesker is a toady. One thug says Wesker is alright, but the other thug calls him a dummy, which sets Scarface off. He yells at the thug and pushes him on a trash compactor tread as he begs for his life. Scarface and Wesker are played by Dan Castellaneta. Dan, if you didn't know, is the voice of Homer Simpson. I cannot recreate the shock I had when I saw this, because he sounds nothing like Homer, and it continues to prove my point that this show has an all-star cast. Dan also voiced a bunch of other characters on both The Simpsons and other animated shows, my favorite of which was Megavolt on the Darkwing Duck show. He does a great job making Wesker and Scarface feel like completely different characters with just his voice. Honestly, I didn't know he was so talented. Thug 1 and Thug 2 are played by John DiMaggio, who is an absolute voice acting legend. Bender from Futurama, Jake from Adventure Time, and about a million other characters. At Wayne Manor, Bruce and Alfred are racking their heads trying to figure out what Scarface is building from all the parts he's been stealing. This is also where we learn that Alfred set up a dating profile for Bruce, and this goes nowhere. Saving you some time here, but Bruce decides to keep being Batman. However, it does bring in the question for Batman about letting someone into his life, the loneliness of being Batman, but it's honestly pointless. Back with Scarface, you know the plot you actually care about, the crew have broken into a museum to steal a part. Wesker also brings up that Scarface promised after this job they would retire to a ranch. They trip the silent alarm, which leads Batman right to them. He easily takes out the thugs, but as the fight continues, Scarface gets into it but can't do anything because, you know, he's a puppet. Because of this distraction though, they manage to trap Batman as a propeller blade inches towards his head. Batman is able to escape, but it's too late as the criminals got away. Bruce goes back to the Batcave and looks up mugshots of dolls? What? Okay, there is no way that is a thing. There's no way this is it instantly works. Are you serious? Bruce learns that after one night of performing, the audience booed Wesker and Scarface, so they came back and robbed the place. Back with Wesker, Scarface says he just needs one more part, and then they can pull off the greatest heist in Gotham's history. Inside of a building, Scarface steals a motherboard, but this is where Batman shows up. Wesker wants to leave, but Scarface says he either takes out Batman or he gets another partner. It does not go well for Wesker, obviously. He is a puppeteer while Batman is a ninja. The thugs overhear what is going on from the car and charge back in. During the fight, Batman realizes that this isn't an act. Scarface and Wesker are legitimately two different personalities. Yes, Scarface is a puppet, but it is another aspect of Wesker. After some fighting, Scarface falls in the assembly line where he gets messed up. The thugs attack Batman, but he's Batman, so he ties them up. Wesker managed to escape with Scarface and the motherboard intact while Batman interrogates the thugs, learning that they plan to rob the Gotham Gold Reserve. What he was building was meant to help them get in, and we soon learn it was a giant robot. I like the design. It's a Scarface robot that has Wesker sitting on the left arm, opposed to how it normally is. This is also where we get some relevance to the romance subplot of getting to know Bruce Wayne. If Scarface is the dominant personality of Wesker, then Batman is the dominant personality of Bruce. So how can someone get to know just Bruce Wayne? That was the only part of this romance subplot I liked, showing that he can't have a love life if he can't tell them the truth about who he really is. Meanwhile, Scarface used his robot to break into the gold reserve and load up the gold into his stomach. As he was leaving, Batman swings down to face him. Yeah, Bats, maybe you should have brought your robot to this. It's an awesome fight, great animation and stellar choreography as always. Scarface grabs Batman and says this is only the beginning, saying he's going to hit every bank in Gotham. That upsets Wesker because they were supposed to retire. They were all standing above a train track though, so Batman blinds Scarface and forces the robot onto the tracks where it's destroyed. The episode ends with that date with Becky that I skipped over, as Bruce decides to dedicate himself to being Batman. Characterization gets a 5. I absolutely love Scarface and Wesker. They are criminally underrated as far as Batman villains go, and their characters are just so great, helped by how talented Dan is. Even the thugs are memorable when they have nothing going on for them. The story gets a 4. The story is kind of generic, but it's lifted up by how great Scarface is, and I like the conflict with Batman realizing if he wants a relationship, he needs to be honest about his whole life. Entertainment gets a 5. It's very entertaining to see Wesker's dynamic with Scarface, and the robot fight is a lot of fun. Importance gets a 3. It's not super important to watch, but seeing Scarface debut is well worth it. Last episode of the day, Topsy-Turvy, episode 10. We open with a judge working when he hears someone outside but doesn't see anything. That is when Joker shows up. The judge freaks out because the Joker is supposed to be in Arkham, but the Joker just laughs and laughs as he blasts the judge. Ethan, Yin, and Batman show up to find the judge encased in a playing card, still alive but frozen. Before the police could do anything, the Joker pulls the judge out of there with his dune buggy, but Batman is in hot pursuit. Batman chases after him, but the Joker uses oil to stop the Batmobile. Bruce is confused by how Joker could be running around since the records show he's still in Arkham. Plus, Joker left the judge to show Batman and the police, to announce his plan, find a full deck of cards of people who crossed him. Batman goes back to Joker's old hideout where he is stalked by the Joker. This scene is great at building tension. For the first time, a villain is stalking Batman instead of the other way around. Joker tries to ambush him, but Batman gets him first. They fight and Batman notes that he isn't talking much, just laughing. Joker is also using a super pogo stick as a weapon, and it doubles as a blaster, which is very on brand for him. Batman disarms the Joker and asks him some questions, but learns the laugh was from a laugh box, and realizes from his face paint that this isn't Joker. Batman takes off the mask to see it's an Arkham orderly, who was threatened by the Joker and was bringing him stuff. Fake Joker is played by Henry Gibson. He was an amazing actor who had an incredible career that I highly recommend. There's not enough time in the day to list off his accomplishments. Hashtag not my Joker tries to use the card gun on Batman, but it encases him instead. Batman is sick of these games and goes to talk to Joker himself. Ethan and Yin get a lot of fake calls from Joker wannabes, but they get an invitation filled with playing cards telling them to go to the Gotham Theater tonight from the Joker. At Arkham, Batman sneaks in and sees the Joker. He asks why add the orderly to the card collection instead of him. Joker says he did that to drive him nuts, and that he wanted to do it himself. They're two sides of the same card. Batman asks why not just make the orderly open the cell? Why do all of this? Joker says it's because Batman's his ace, and he doesn't need him in the card collection because he never plays with a full deck. He also reveals that he has a collection of Joker stuff in his cell, using it to escape. An orderly shows up and sees Batman is in his cell, but Batman has an idea. Ethan and Yin go to Arkham to see what's up, but when they look, Joker is in his cell. The cops leave, which is when it's revealed Batman put on the Joker outfit. The orderly goes in there with a gun blaster, and when he's unprepared, Batman escapes. At the Gotham Theater, Ethan and Yin arrive, 5, where they get ambushed by the Joker. They wake up in a theater filled with people stuck to the floor. Joker is up on stage where he set up his card machine. Everyone in the theater had wronged Joker in some way. He plans to turn them all into cards and then push them in the river where they can drown. Yin tries to jump Joker, but Joker turns her into a card. Batman rescues the judge on stage and goes after the Joker. They fight for a bit in the rafters while Ethan frees Yin. They work together to get everyone out as Batman and Joker continue to fight. Joker tries to use the card gun on Batman, but Batman throws a batarang which turns the gun on Joker, trapping him in a Joker card. Bruce comes home to wipe the clown makeup off and says he hates playing cards, which is funny because Alfred is playing solitaire. Alright, how does the Return of the Joker rank? Characterization gets a 5. Everyone is really strong in this episode character-wise. Batman, Joker, Ethan, Yin, everyone's great. Story gets a 5. The Joker stories are just next level, and this crime of his keeps people guessing, while also making it obvious what he's going to do. Plus, the second Joker stories are always up from the first one. Entertainment gets a 5. This version of the Joker is so much fun. There were a bunch of jokes I didn't mention that are super funny. Importance gets a 5. This is Joker's second appearance, and it further builds their rivalry pretty smoothly from last time, and in the finale it gets even better. That's all the episodes we're going over for today. 4 out of the 5 episodes we watched were absolutely amazing and continue to prove my point that this series is a lot better than most people give it credit for. We'll be going over the finale next time, so for now, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all later.